It's time now for us to lounge with Levine, presented by Steinhoffels. And if anyone knows how to put that phrase in motion, it's our guy, Bruce Levine, an absolute master of his craft, just like Craig Counsell, who has mastered the arm barn so far, at least to this point in the season. There's a baker's dozen of arms on the IL right now, Bruce. So how impressed have you been by what Craig's been able to do? He's a chess master right now.
Well, let's go back to 3 years ago when he was hired as a manager. Why was he hired? Because he was considered the best technician in the game. You don't pay somebody the most money in baseball as their manager if he is not, and he is proving that once again with all due respect to the guys in the bullpen, he has taken these guys and has found success for all of them. They get credit, Elise, but the reality is this team has a leader who, 2 guys have 3 saves. 3 is the high mark. That's the low in baseball for save leaders in baseball. The Cubs are 26th, tied for 26th with the fewest amount of saves with 17 in baseball. How are they doing that?
Yeah, right. I mean, I think to your point, it starts at the top. Every time I ask really anyone on the staff about working with Craig and what it's like, they immediately have a smile on their face and then talk about how great it is. And I feel like that's the communication aspect of it, that he keeps these guys ready. You know, I remember having a conversation with Jacob Webb in the clubhouse, and he was saying, of course, kind of like what Craig was saying, of course it's nice when you have roles, especially for a manager. You know, we always talk about if you've got that closer, you work your way backwards, life is so much easier, which he had that luxury for a lot of the time in Milwaukee. But then Webb was saying, okay, that's nice, but also I'm a better pitcher, like going through this situation, because just like Craig was highlighting, we know the pockets. Like, we're aware in the game when we could go in. That goes back to the communication, just knowing who they could face. And I think then that is also their manager setting them up for success. That is what Craig is always trying to do, put them in pockets where they can succeed and just get the outs, as he always says, have those out-getters. So what do you have to do? Just do your role when you go in.
Yeah, but I mean, he can't always tell them. For instance, he has been using Webb as a closer. Well, last night, he was not. He was the out-getter in the 7th inning. It didn't work out right away because the inherited run scored, but he did the rest of the job. He got a hold. So they can't guarantee these guys, as much as you're right, Elise, they try to tell them who they're going to face. It's not always going to work out, especially with the way that the injuries have impacted that pen. But, here you go, as Cole mentioned coming into this segment, the best record in baseball over the last 23. How is that done with a pen of guys that, as we call them, the no-name pen?
I mean, I think also, like you're saying, just knowing that you're going to face a certain pocket and it doesn't matter what inning. I mean, that could come in the 6th. It could come in the 9th. And there are games where, with the way they're going, if they go to extras, and even Craig is like, we just got to use whoever we have left down there, because that's sometimes the situation with the depth that they have.
The other part is they're never overused. So Brad Keller came in with Philadelphia earlier in the year, and he said, the thing that I owe Craig and Tommy and the pitching people for is I got used a lot last year, but they never used me if I felt like I had anything going on with my arm or if I wasn't available. They cared about me as a person first. And that is throughout the entire major leagues with Craig. That's his reputation. Taking care of guys and at the same time trying to find success areas for them.
Is it more impressive that they've been so successful, especially since you look back to June 11th and you consider that starting pitchers' ERA, they're bottom 3rd, 22nd in all of Major League Baseball. The guys in the bullpen, they've really been answering the bell, Bruce.
Yeah, and there's been a lot of different guys. Guys are on this team in the bullpen that we would have never imagined in spring training. Guys that, with all due respect, sometimes you walk by their locker because you don't
just
really.
Just a guy.
Because okay, you're going to be a AAA. Okay, you might not make the 40-man. You might be off of that. You're not going to even the minor leagues. So these are things that we see, but somehow, some way, the Cubs have done a terrific job. And and give Hawkins and Hoyer credit too for finding these guys, and getting them into the system. It's not easy right now with all the injuries they've had. 31 pitchers used so far. It's quite a bit.
And I'll even highlight your point, where you said, because that's another aspect that I feel like pitchers bring up when I talk to them, is the usage. That aspect, that's that communication back and forth where, knowing how to use guys, when to use guys, not feeling overused, keeping them ready. That feels like a big part of this as well, which keeps them effective when they go in. Sure, sometimes there'll be some clunkers, but more often than not, I mean, I think last night is a good example, right? Like, you're not giving up runs out of the pen.
The question is whether they'll add on and they need any big names like Chapman or somebody like that coming in to help Palencia when he hopefully comes off the IL after the All-Star break.
Yeah, taking a look at what guys call just a guy around NBA, MLB, NFL circles. Craig said that's what we have down in our bullpen right now. We just have guys, but some of these guys are starting to turn into dudes right in front of our very eyes, aren't they, Elise?
Yeah, I mean, look at Tyler Ferguson.
Come on.
What he's been doing, just like even his attitude out on the mound, I really like it. I've talked to Ethan Roberts a lot, on someone who is finding consistency going out there, and he feels that has helped him because, this is a guy who's been up and down a bunch. So sometimes for these guys, it's just about going out there and being able to pitch on a consistent basis. So despite the injuries, that can be a little bit of the silver lining, is that some of these guys are finding more consistent time.
And even a dude like Ryan Rolison, things didn't go his way last night, but when Craig has answered it or called upon him, he's gone out there and he has answered every single step of the way.
You don't want to overexpose people, and I think Counsell and company are the very best at it. We're talking about success. Part of that success is a manager and coaches knowing what the limit is, who they shouldn't face, rather than necessarily who they should face.
Okay.
You stood up for that. You were excited to get that point in.
Well, I'm going to be going out real
Oh, you were actually you're on your way out.
Okay,
Right.
everything. And Bruce is coming at me. I might have to call HR on you real quick here. But okay, let's move things along because sad news to report: at 89 years old, Phil Regan has passed away. In 1969, 15 saves. That's the first season that saves became a statistic. Bruce, so what's your fondest memory of Phil?
Well, Phil was the ultimate thinker on the mound. So he didn't throw 95 even back then. Threw a palm ball,
Pitcher.
changeup, curve, slider, spitball. Yeah, he would say so right now. He'd tell us that he'd do everything he could to make sure that the guy misses a pitch. Terrific guy, great instructor when he became a coach. As you mentioned before, Kerry Wood's very first pitching coach when he came up in 1998, and made a renaissance and came back with the Mets in recent years as a pitching coach in his 80s. So it was pretty spectacular. It didn't end all that well with the Mets, but Phil was well-loved, well-respected, a good friend. He will be missed.
Yeah, his ability to do more with less, extremely commendable. Would you agree?
I would say that what you said is right, Cole. He was a pitcher. He knew how to get people out, something that we don't see much in the game anymore. We rely on velocity. This is a guy that just went out there and said, you're not going to hit this. It's going to look like a strike, but it's not going to end up that way. So you're going to hit this ball in the dirt.
Yeah, blazing fastballs, they help. But Phil Regan, he let everybody know you didn't necessarily need to have that velocity. He was definitely the embodiment of that. At 89 years old, Phil Regan, rest in peace. Bruce, good stuff as always. Great catching up with you, my man.